Good morning, everyone. Welcome to CIPHER 2022. My name is Tara Coley. For all of you who have who are attendees, all the moderators and presenters, I'm the person you've been getting incessant emails from, and for that I apologize. Anyway, we're really looking forward to a great conference. Before I introduce our Ari Kaptang, I wanted to go over our guidelines. Just some housekeeping. We have 10 sessions, so each session or panel has 3 to 5 presentations. Each presentation is about 10 minutes or so. The Q&A is either after each presentation or all the presentations, and that's up to the moderator, and the moderator will let you know which they prefer. And of course, the Q&A is facilitated by the moderator. If you want to ask a question, raise your hand in Zoom or type the question in the chat box. Participants will be muted, so when you raise your hand or try to unmute, one of the hosts will unmute you in order for you to ask your question. So then also, please keep your video off unless you're actively participating. This will help for others who are watching. We recommend that you set your view to side-by-side speaker view for an optimized viewing experience. You can do that by going to the top right-hand corner where it says view and selecting side-by-side speaker. And if you have any questions throughout the 2 days, you can reach out to me or reach out to any of the RLA staff that are also on the call. So, don't hesitate at all. I'm also on email if you are having some trouble with Zoom itself. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Ari to kick us off.
All right, okay. So we're all very sad that once again our hopes of having this in person have been dashed, but there's always next year. So sooner or later we'll all meet in person. Nevertheless, I'm very happy to welcome so many people to the conference. I have just a couple of short comments. I want to explain a little bit, what I think we are getting out of it. Of course, the reason why we organize these meetings, and I'll sort of lead you through it a little bit. So if you look at this screen, you'll see words or terms or lines that you recognize, because this is just a screenshot of session titles. And the point I want to make is that for those of you who have a really good memory, over the years, I think what we're doing is getting more comprehensive, it's broader. It's also getting more sophisticated. I think we went from, relatively many somewhat tentative presentations, sort of where people were starting up, to much more presentations on experiences, data quality, new experiments. And I think today certainly is the one that has more than any of the previous ones. And then we have a couple of substantive presentations that really use internet panels. And as you see, 2 of the 3 are about COVID, which is not a surprise, given that really where the internet panels, where the probability-based internet panels really shined. I think that's really where the internet panels show their power by being quick and comprehensive and disseminating data quickly. And then the last one is about employment, which, by the way, is also something in which internet panels played a big role, because the employment effects of COVID were so dramatic that the internet panels were the ones that could sort of respond more quickly and more and could provide more timely information than others. But here is a question that you may find a little strange, namely, how many panels are longitudinal? And what I mean by that is that if you think of a panel, at least the formal definition is you interview people or firms or whatever, but let's say people, you interview people, you follow them over time, you collect data. But I think what's going on really is that for most of what we call panels, the emphasis is not really on the longitudinal aspect. So I think organizations are using panels as a framework in which one can then approach respondents quickly and elicit information. And I think there is still an enormous potential for really using the longitudinal part. And I'm just listing here two panels that try to do that. And one is the LIST panel in the Netherlands, and the other one is the Understanding America study that we are running here at USC. And so why is that a good idea? And I'm not saying here that everyone should do it, but why there is this potential of using the internet panels for longitudinal studies? Well, there's a few of them. One is that you can collect much more information than any traditional survey. So if you think of sort of the main surveys in the US, for example, the PSID or the NLSY or CIPHER, then there is a limit to how much information can be collected per year or per 2 years, simply because if you use an interviewer, there is just a limit at how far you can push the stamina of the respondents. Whereas with internet, of course, you can break up surveys and you can do small parts every month or whatever period you want to do. For example, if you were to ask panel members half an hour worth of questions every month, you will end up with 6 hours in a year, which is way more than any of a traditional data collection method could produce. So I think that and that's still, even though some of us do it, I think that's an untapped potential. And then the other part, and we have certainly used that during the COVID pandemic, is that now you have all this background information, and now suddenly something happens, and you go in the field with new short surveys that are pertinent to the new developments, but then you can relate it to everything you already know about your panel members. For example, you already know something about their health, or you know something about work, and you can see how they get affected by the new development. And then the other part, and of course that's common to all of us, which is that we can then put out the data in close to real time. So if it comes to helping serving researcher, but also policymaker, I think that's a big plus of doing this. So in short, I would argue, and I believe that these longitudinal probability-based internet panels can really be a full-fledged addition to the menu of population-based scientific studies that we currently have in the United States, but around the world. Yet, it seems that is not necessarily a view that's shared by everyone. There's still, except you still have to, I guess, convert the non-faithful in some ways. And if you try to think of what's needed for that, I think what's really needed is as much research as possible on, what works with probability-based internet panels, what doesn't work, what needs to be improved. And frankly, that's in many ways what we at USC and at the UAS get out of this, because all the studies that you're going to present these few days will help us take another step in finding out what works and what doesn't, and give the probability-based internet panels yet a more sure footing in the world of survey research. And with that, I want to just welcome you once again. I wish you all a great conference, and I'm looking forward to a lot of exciting new findings. Thank you.